everybody. This is Nikki Liss, and here I am doing my very first live Facebook video. And to be perfectly honest, I can't even believe I'm doing this right now because I've been putting this off for a really, really long time. I'm a bit of a procrastinator, which I'm sure none of you can relate to at all. So anyway, I'm going totally out of my comfort zone. But I felt it was time because I have a lot of things to say and a lot to put out there, and I just want to get started. I've been a clinical social worker, psychotherapist for 15 years, and I was in the mental health field for even 5 years before that. So I've been doing this for a really long time, and I can sit with ladies and men just like you every day in my office, and it doesn't make me nervous at all. In fact, I love it. I love my job. I find it to be a complete privilege to sit and be a part of someone's personal journey. But this is a whole nother thing here, this whole live thing. So bear with me. But the thing that decided me to do it today is that I don't know, I guess I would say I felt a nudge, a real nudge today because as so many of you have seen, I post a lot of inspirational quotes every day, and the thing that I've noticed that gets the most attention, and this is a really difficult topic, but it's emotional abuse. And so many of you know who you are if you have been in an emotionally abusive relationship, or maybe you think you might have been in one, or maybe you might be in one, but you're not quite sure. You know who you are, and you know who this person is, or these people are who have been treating you this way. It could be your mother, your father, it could be both parents, it could be maybe you've chosen friends along the way who tend to treat you poorly, or you've had a boyfriend or more than one boyfriend, or a spouse. Maybe you've had more than one marriage, and you look back and you say, how did I choose two different men to marry that treat me like garbage? Like, what is that all about? Well, those are all great questions, and there is something that is making you attract those kind of people, and we're going to talk more about that as time goes on. But for today, I want to focus on a couple of things. So if you're not real sure that you've been in a relationship that's abusive, here's one way to know. One way I would say to know is just your gut feeling. If you know that you feel like this relationship that you're in, whether it's with a parent, a sibling, it could even be a coworker or a spouse, if you know that one of these relationships is really unhealthy, you like feel it, it probably is. It probably is unhealthy if that's what you're feeling. And you know what? You don't deserve that. You know, if someone's making you feel like you are not valuable, and you're going through day by day and you're just feeling unworthy, and this is someone that's supposed to love you and doesn't make you feel very lovable, that's a really unhealthy relationship to be in. And sometimes that's a relationship that you can say no to. You can stop and say, you know what? I don't need this relationship in my life anymore because it's not feeding me. But sometimes that's not an option. I mean, if this is a person who, let's say this is your ex-husband and you have kids together, this is not an option. You have to have a relationship with this person on some level. So that's going to be all about setting boundaries. And we're going to talk about that as time goes on too, how to set boundaries and what that looks like, what different boundaries look like. And I'm going to talk about in my blog as I'm going along the way. I'm going to talk about that on some more of these live posts. But today I want to focus on a couple of other things. So another way that you can know if you've been in a relationship that's really unhealthy or abusive is just looking at the patterns, the history of how you relate to people and how people relate to you. Because my guess is if you have found yourself in a lot of unhealthy relationships where you're not treated the way you should be, my guess is that you are probably really good at taking care of other people. And I say that because people that are really good at taking care of other people tend to have a way of attracting really needy people. Because I get that. I like to take care of people. That's what I do, right? That's my whole purpose in life. That's my whole job. But you have to be able to set boundaries with who you take care of and those kinds of things. So that's one way to know. So if you've been in a pattern of unhealthy relationships, one after another, there's probably a reason why, and there's probably some emotional abuse going on. Another way you can know if you've been in an emotionally abusive relationship is anxiety. If you tend to carry around a lot of anxiety, that may be a red flag for some really unhealthy history with some of your relationships. Not always. Anxiety can come in lots of different forms, but here are some of the key things. If you have a lot of anxiety around what other people think about you, worrying about being judged, those kinds of things, really having a big fear of being criticized, there's a good chance, if you really think about it, and a lot of people don't realize this at all until they come to therapy and it starts they talk about their story and it starts being unraveled, they realize that, wow, the reason why I'm so fearful of criticism is because I grew up with a lot of criticism. Maybe you had parents that criticized you a lot, and that's not okay. So here's another thing about emotional abuse. It is harder to detect than physical abuse, because if someone is punching you in the face every day, there's not a person in the world that's going to disagree with you that that's really unhealthy, and that's not okay for someone to hit you, hurt you physically. And then you have scars to prove it, right? You might have bruises, you might have something swollen or broken, God forbid. But when you are emotionally abused, it's not as black and white, and it's actually easier to explain away, because everyone gets criticized sometimes. Everyone criticizes someone sometimes. We all do things like that. We all say things we shouldn't some of the time, and that's sort of a normal part of being human. So when someone's doing it repeatedly, it's easier to explain it away, especially if this is a manipulative person, because they can twist it and make you feel like you're the one that deserves it or brought it on, or somehow that you even kind of caused this. So those are some of the ways to know that maybe just start thinking about it. Maybe I have been in a relationship that's actually abusive. So the message I want to send today, and the reason why I bring this up today, is that if you're having a day, a moment, or even a long period of time where you're feeling like you're someone who is not valuable, not lovable, not good enough, a lot of people who have had emotional abuse in their life feel like they're not good enough, like a lot of the time, like it just sort of follows them. And if you're someone who doesn't feel good enough, I want you to know, if no one else is going to say it to you, that you are good enough. You are valuable, and you are lovable, and you were created for a reason, and no one can take that away from you. So what I would encourage you to do to start working on this and building yourself up is to try this daily, to find one positive thing to say to yourself daily. Because if you are feeling down on yourself, if you have a lot of anxiety, if you're feeling depressed, I could promise you that you have a lot of negative self-talk going on in your head, and these are things that we say to ourselves all day long. We don't even realize we're doing it. We say little things to ourselves. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Oh, I can't believe I did that. Oh, there I go again. And these are things we don't even notice we're saying. They're just thoughts. So we need to start combating that and start replacing those things with positive. And that can be really hard, especially if you're really uncomfortable with compliments. So what I would encourage you to do is once a day, try to say one positive thing to yourself. Something like, I am lovable, or I am valuable, or go a little bit more specific. I am a good mom. You know what? I'm a great sister. Or even better, I'm a good daughter. Any of those things, if you have been told that you aren't those things, you tell yourself that you are. Because I'm telling you today that you are. So if no one else is going to say it, I'm saying it to you right now. And I would say, if you want to take this challenge up just a notch, try to do it in the mirror. And I know this can be so difficult because it's so embarrassing to look at ourselves in the mirror. And this is for so many of us, to look at the mirror and be like, hey, you're valuable. But you know what? You are. So why not say it to yourself? So I would encourage you to do it. Do it once a day. Do it while you're putting on your makeup, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair. You look in the mirror at least once a day, I can guarantee. So in the middle of brushing your teeth, look in the mirror and be like, you know what? You're looking good today. Or I love you, even. One positive thing to say to yourself, even if you don't believe it, even if you think it's the biggest bunch of garbage you ever heard, just do it. Because I promise you, it will make a difference. So that's what I have to say to you today, and thank you for all the comments. I'm noticing this is the first time I've ever done this, so I'm trying to look in the camera, and then I'm looking at comments, and I'll read all of them afterwards. So if there's anything else any other topics that you guys would really like for me to touch on, please feel free to comment anytime on my page. Or if you're not comfortable with doing that, message me privately, because I know these are really sensitive topics and not everyone wants the whole world to know what topics that they're interested in. So message me and I'd be glad to, I'm going to take my focus wherever you guys are, because I want to meet you where you're at. So thank you for following me. This has been an amazing journey, and this is just the beginning for me. So have a great day, and just remember that you are valuable. All right, take care.